Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking once again about that upcoming snowstorm. It's already actually ongoing, and we're going to be presenting our forecast. Even though this one isn't expected to be major, I still wanted to update you guys on this storm. Anyways, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content. Also, make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below, and then also our very awesome channel membership, and that's going to be next to that subscribe button. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what is the maximum snowfall you think we get with this snowstorm once it's all said and done? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, first things first, we're taking a look at our radar, and this is our storm so far. You can see it's an area of snow showers. But actually, as you take a look closer down there for Iowa and Nebraska, especially there, you can definitely tell that there is some heavier bands setting up in those brighter whites. So let's go ahead and zoom in real quick to those more organized showers. Alright, now as you can see, we definitely have some of those heavier snow showers in those whites, and they're making their way into Iowa especially, but across the Nebraska border there, even down as far south as Omaha, we are seeing some of those heavier mixed showers, so snow, ice, and even rain going on as well. Now, there's not a lot to talk about on radar, so we're just going to go ahead and switch over to the model guidance actually already. Now, what we're looking at here is our current watches, warnings, and advisories. And as you can see within those purple shades, we do have a winter weather advisory, but nothing like a winter storm watch or a winter storm warning there. Again, this is not expected to be as major as we once thought just a couple of days ago. The models have really backed off of this one, but I still think it's worth making a forecast because we are expecting quite a few inches of snow that could still be an impact for a lot of you, obviously. So we do have those winter weather advisories for Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. And I do anticipate that other states further east will begin to get those as well. So let's get right into that modeled guidance. And we're going to take a look at that European model first and then our NAM model a little later on. But as you can see, this is around the time we just took a look at on radar. So anywhere this morning on the 21st of February here on Sunday, we have mostly that snowfall going on in between Nebraska and Iowa there. Now, as we approach this evening, and this is about 7 p.m. on still today, Sunday the 21st, you can see that that snowfall gets a little bit more expansive and a little bit heavier there for Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois there, with those deeper blues showing up here on this model. So it's going to get a little bit more organized as we move forward and a little bit more widespread for sure as we roll through with this model run. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards where this is going to start crossing over into portions of Michigan and Indiana. Also, Chicago's going to get a little bit more involved. And then after that, we're going to start moving up into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, where they could see some wintry precipitation as well. Now, first things first, here we are taking a look at this hour, and this is probably by about 1 or 2 a.m. there on Monday, February 22nd. So tonight, from the time I'm making this video, we see Illinois, we see Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin there, seeing some moderate snowfall there as it crosses over portions of the Great Lakes, and that is going to lead to some lake effect enhancement for sure. And as you can see on the next frame, we do see a lot of that lake effect enhancement, and that heads into Canada actually. But we do see a lot of those snow showers making its way down into Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, as well as New York. And that's by about 6 or 5 a.m. there on Monday, February 22nd. So by the time we're reaching tomorrow morning, this will be making its way into the interior regions of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So the reason I think this won't be too major is because it's moving so fast. It's moving so quickly that there's not enough time for that snow to really begin to accumulate, really, in my opinion. If this was a slower storm, we would maybe be looking at a more major situation, possibly 10 inches plus, but that, as of right now, is certainly not the case at this point, maybe for some mountaintops. Now, let's take a look at approximately 10 or 11 a.m. there on Monday, and as you can see, a lot of those heavier showers start to move into Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, and even there for some of the Smoky Mountains down there in North Carolina. We see some mixing going on as well, but generally that heavier snowfall is further north up there for West Virginia and through Maryland and Pennsylvania as well, where it will begin to accumulate. As you can see, by the time we're reaching Potentially, I would say around 3 or 4 p.m. there on Monday, February 22nd. We see a lot of that moderate to heavy snowfall move into eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, maybe even New York City, right on the line there of the mixing. And then that moves up into Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe even Rhode Island as well there, with some mixing near the coast. As you can see, those greens are indicating that. Now, what we're going to do here is move on towards the end of this storm on this model run. We're going to see heavy snowfall make its way into New England, and then we're going to close this one out and move on to our NAM model in just a moment. All right, now, as you can see, we see that heavier snowfall making its way in through Connecticut, Massachusetts, the Green Mountains of Vermont as well, and through New Hampshire and Maine as well. But again, southern New England, we see the coast with rain. So expect it to be a little too warm for those regions. And actually, as we move on towards about a little bit later in that evening, you can see it even gets a little further inland with that mixing. So some of the areas that see snowfall at first might switch it back over to rain for sure. And then we see that heavier snowfall there for coastal Maine. And then that moves out by about maybe 3 a.m. or so on Tuesday, February 23rd. Now let's move on with that NAM model. We see a little bit of heavier snowfall there for Iowa and Nebraska there in the beginning. And as that moves up in through portions of the upper Midwest, we're seeing a little bit heavier snowfall there as well. Same story once it crosses over into the Great Lakes regions here by Monday morning, early on Monday morning. And then in the Northeast, we see those heavier pockets as well for West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland. But it's the same locations. We see good agreement here. And then as it reaches more of those coastal regions, or I guess closer to the coast, that is, eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, New England, you can see it actually does look quite similar as well. Same story here by time we're reaching later on Monday. You can see coastal regions of southern New England are mixing with rain for sure. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the modeled snowfall guidance first off, and then my official snowfall forecast for this snowstorm in just a moment. But first things first, here we are taking a look at that European model. And as you can see, not a lot of purples, not a lot of pinks going on. Again, not a major snowstorm for sure. Now, we're taking a look at about 10 or 11 a.m. on Tuesday there. It'll all be said and done for sure by that point. Now, as you can see, if you're anywhere in the grays, you're expecting a dusting to maybe an inch of snow. Now, I see a lot of people commenting all the time, like, hey, can you make the bar at the bottom larger so we can see it? I don't make these maps. Actually, I get this through a provider called Weatherbell, so I don't have any control over how large the bar is at the bottom. So I do apologize for that, but I try to break down the numbers and tell it to you so that you don't have to see that. But yeah, if you're in the gray, you're about a dusting, if anything, maybe an inch. Now, in the blues, we're taking a look at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. Within the purples, 6 to 10, and then there is a little bit of pink there, maybe for areas just to the east there of Lake Ontario. And that is mostly due to that lake effect enhancement going on. So that is going to add to a lot of the snow totals, especially there in New York. But overall, you can see mostly this is a 2 to 6 inch event. There's hardly any purples, hardly any pinks. I mean, 2 to 6 obviously is a moderate snowstorm. It is a plowable snow event as you get into those 4, 5, 6 inch amounts, but nothing major, nothing major. Now, as we move towards that NAM 3KM model that likes to overdo things, might I add, we see that there is a little bit more here. There's some purples and pinks there for Iowa, some more purples there for Pennsylvania and New York, a little bit more. But overall, I think this model's probably overdoing it a little bit. I think if anything, we see those scattered 6 to 7 inch amounts there for Iowa. Nothing close to, 10, 12, 14 like this model wants to say. Now, one last model, the Arjun model, and this is my favorite model of all time. And as you can see, it's calling for those lower amounts as well. Not even the purples and pinks hardly for offshore of Lake Ontario there. So yeah, I definitely think this is more of a 2 to 6 inch snowfall, albeit it's pretty widespread with the 2 to 6 inch amounts, very expansive there, but really nothing major whatsoever here. And this is a high resolution model, just like the NAM model, but it's just calling for less of that snowfall there. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at my official snowfall forecast here. If you're anywhere in the whites there, you can see you're expecting anything from a dusting to 3 inches of snow. So Minneapolis is in there, Chicago, Detroit, even New York City right on the fence. I think you're going to have a lot of mixing issues there, closer to the coast though. Now let's go ahead and add that 3 to 6 inch region, or regions there. You can see there's one for the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, and then one there for the interior Northeast. So generally, for the most part, I'm expecting mostly 3 to 6 inch amounts to be pretty widespread there throughout these blue regions. but not much more. As you can see, there's very small areas of 6 to 10 inch amounts. I think a little bit of Iowa will probably see those 6 to 10 inch amounts as we get that heavier snowfall developing. And then a little bit offshore of Lake Ontario, as we saw according to a lot of those models, that would be likely. But outside of that, mostly just a 3 to 6 inch amount snowstorm. Well, anyway, guys, I know this wasn't anything major, but I definitely wanted to update you guys on this because I started talking about this storm days ago and I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. Also, there's nothing else really going on in the weather world, so there's not like I had anything better to talk about anyway. Anyway, for our confidence tab, we're at a 5 out of 6. Obviously, I think if anything, this would have a little bit more snowfall than less from what I'm calling for. So there is that like slim chance that we see this one overperform a little bit and we get more like what the NAM's calling for, maybe up to 10 inches for some regions. But I really feel like I'm confident in what I'm calling for here. This does not strike me as a major snowstorm whatsoever. So we're at a 5 out of 6 at this point. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, how do you think this upcoming severe weather season will go? Will it be more active, less active? What do you think? And Weather Today said, I definitely think that there will be more severe weather this season due to the temperature differential and the clashing of the air masses. And this is exactly what we talked about in yesterday's video. I do anticipate that we could have a very active severe weather season, unfortunately, especially due to that La Nina. I highly recommend you check that video out, by the way, because we talked about a lot of things for the upcoming months. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Bembenek, James Wade, Dovi Nagel, Alan Balemo, Adam S., Larry Lepan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Ada Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Falego, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be a part of this patron end screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.